Celebrate a birthday with us with some homemade sweet treats such as our chocolate-covered pretzels and a homemade birthday cake. Let's get in the kitchen and let's cook. Today is very special. It is someone's birthday, and to celebrate, we always do like a treasure hunt or a scavenger hunt for the little kiddos so that they could find a little special something that we've hidden for them. So today, we're doing one for Murdy. Happy birthday, Mercy. All right, today it's time for you to go on a treasure hunt. You ready? This year, instead of writing little notes for a scavenger hunt, we started making little riddles for our little ones to solve to get to their treasure. A small little riddle could definitely boost important skills for kids' brains, such as like critical thinking, problem solving, vocabulary and comprehension, and so much more. And it really just makes gift giving so much fun for the kids and for ourselves as well as parents, just watching our kids go through this little hunt for their little treasures. Mercy just turned 8 this year. She is very, very bright and really solved her first clue very, very quickly. Now it's on to the next one. Any clue?
Up in the tree.
Maybe.
Let's go. I'm gonna go
You have to go and check it though.
What? This is what I saw.
Let me see. Is it? Do you like it?
Yes. Yeah. It has stars.
Alright everybody, it is cake time. So welcome to our humble kitchen. Today we're going to be making a birthday cake for Mercy. Now she didn't give me a specific request for a cake. So we're just going to make a cake that we think that she's going to really, really love. Initially I wanted to make a strawberry and chocolate cake, but Emmanuel, our oldest, gave us the idea of making a blueberry sauce with a vanilla cake. So that's what we're going to be doing. Let's get started on the sauce. Actually, really, really quick, before we make the cake, Mercy did have one request, which is chocolate-covered pretzels. So we're going to get that started. We're going to have some chocolate melting, and then we're going to have some pretzels. We are going to coat them and then just put it in the fridge to harden. That's going to be her requested snack for the day. We are going to start multitasking. So I've got 2 pots going on here. On the left side, we're going to be melting some chocolate, and on the right, we're going to start the berry compote. Let's start on the berry compote. So I've got 2 packages of the organic blueberries and 1 package of the dark sweet cherries. I figured it'd be a really nice combination. The blueberries just give it a nice sweetness, and the beautiful, luscious red cherries will just add a touch of tartness. I added the berries into a pot, and I'm just going to add about half a cup of water in here. Not too much because we already know the berries are going to excrete some liquids. And then about 1/3 cup of some coconut sugar just to sweeten up just a little bit. Moving on to melting some chocolate for our pretzels. This is the chocolate that I'm using. It's the organic allergen-free chocolate chips from Toll House. I picked these chocolate chips because the ingredients are not bad. We have organic cane sugar, organic chocolate, and organic cocoa butter. We set up a double boiler on the stove, so I just have a pot with a little bit of water, about 1 inch of water, and a glass bowl on the top. The steam from the boiling water underneath in the pot will slowly melt the chocolate in the glass bowl. And it's going to be done gently and not directly on the heat. I really find this step super satisfying. Melting chocolate is just one of those most satisfying things to do in the kitchen, in my opinion. So we're going to multitask a little bit. We have our chocolate going in one pot, and then we have some compote on the right side as well. The chocolate melts super fast, and the fruit compote, we're just going to let it slowly simmer away in the background and just watch it every now and then so it doesn't burn. We purchased a family-size little mini pretzels, and they're just a regular shaped pretzels that she picked out. And this is such a simple, like really fun kid activity if you have kids as well. We're just going to dip it in and shake off the excess. I don't think I'm going to cover the whole pretzel, just to keep that little extra salty bite. I'm gonna dip it in. I'm gonna put it right here. Perfect. Before we move along, making the rest of the chocolate covered pretzels, of course, quality control is very important in this household. So of course, I just had to give it a little bit of a taste test, a little snacky snack before I move on to making the rest of the pretzels for the rest of the family. All right, I have to admit, I probably ate like 17 of these chocolate covered pretzels warm myself, but you know, I just couldn't resist. Could you have resisted? I don't know, you let me know in the comments. Making these pretzels were actually very satisfying for myself, and just seeing them laid out on a platter like this, it was perfect. After these pretzels are all nice and done and lined up, we're going to put them in the freezer just for about a minute or two, just until the chocolate hardens. Checking up on the compote, it actually splattered quite a bit, so if you're making this, make sure that you put a lid on it, but this has definitely reduced a lot. Look how gorgeous these turned out. They turned out the perfect snack for everybody. I'm just going to transfer all of these into a bowl, and then I'm going to call in the birthday girl. All right, taste one.
This is tasting one.
She's thinking about it. Is it delicious?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Here's your birthday treat before lunch, before birthday cake. Emmanuel! After our snacky snack is done, I am going to prepare our cake just before making lunch. So I have here some ground flax. We're going to make some vegan eggs, basically. So I'm going to use some ground flax. We're going to mix 4 tablespoons of flax to 9 tablespoons of water and just let it sit for a little bit. It's going to congeal and it's going to become an eggy type of consistency to hold all of our ingredients together. Next, in a mixing bowl, we're going to add some coconut oil. So we have 3/4 cup of coconut oil, melted coconut oil in here. If you're oil free, you can definitely just use maybe applesauce in replacement of the oil. Just like any regular cake recipe, you are supposed to whip the butter and the sugar together. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add some coconut sugar in here. We used 1 cup and 3/4 of a cup of coconut sugar, and then mix that into the coconut oil. And then now we're just going to pour in our flax eggs. To help the cakes rise, we don't use baking powder because there is cornstarch in it. So we prefer using 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar here, and then we're going to couple it with some baking soda, and that's going to make our cakes rise. So we just added our apple cider vinegar here right now, and then we are going to add our flour. In this recipe, we are using our own home ground spelt flour. Keep in mind, when you are grinding up your own flour, it does act a little bit different than all-purpose flour. Next, I'm adding some baking soda. I'm not measuring this. I'm just going to put about a teaspoon, and I forgot some vanilla, so we're going to add about a teaspoon or a teaspoon and a half of some vanilla extract. Now, as you can see, I'm not really following a recipe. I am actually just going off of texture. So this is kind of the texture that I'm going for. It is about a pancake consistency. I forgot to mention, but I did add about a 1/2 cup of water, and I added about 2.5 cups of flour. To keep our cakes from sticking to the bottom of our pans, I'm going to cut some parchment rounds so that we can put it onto the bottom of our cake pans. I've really been loving this extra step because it really does make sure that the cake is not going to stick. It's just been working wonders. I am also going to be oiling the cake pans on the sides and on the tops as well, just in case. I really do not want these cakes to stick, so that's why I'm doing the extra oiling on the sides, on the tops, just to make sure. We've preheated the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to bake these for about 30 minutes or so. Now look at the compote. You see how thick and syrupy this texture is?
It's beautiful. We're gonna let that cool, and the cakes are done now, so we're gonna let our cakes cool as well. I just let it cool for about 15 minutes in the pans themselves, and then I just flip them over on a drying rack or like a cookie rack here, and I'm just gonna let it cool all the way through.
Let's talk about the frosting. We like to use cashews for our frosting. Now I've also frozen a can of coconut milk. I don't know how frozen it is, but we did put it in the freezer for about 20-30 minutes so far. And we are now going to be making a frosting out of cashews. So, cup. Just a cup and a half. Now this is roasted and already has sea salt in it, so we're gonna omit any salt if you need to add it, but I would recommend just using a raw cashew if you have. And then now I'm just gonna add about a cup of water in here, and then we're gonna put it on the stove to boil.
We're gonna bring this up to a boil, but you wanna make sure to just watch the water. I did end up adding about a cup more water because the water was evaporating very, very fast while it was boiling. We are going to boil this up for about 10-15 minutes or just until nice and soft.
Well, I was just checking on the coconut milk that I had. It's not very solid. I can still feel some liquid, but that's okay. So I've got our cashews. Now I have a little bit of the remaining juice. I'm just going to leave it there. And then I'm going to put some of the coconut milk in here and we're going to blend it up. I am going to use a hand blender because not everybody has like a high-powered blender, so I'm going to use my hand blender, and we're going to blend this up to make a frosting. I'm not going to really measure this out, but I know it's going to take about, let's say, a quarter cup or so. I'm going to start off with a little bit, and then we're going to add a little bit more later on.
I noticed that this pot was just not going to work out, so I'm just going to transfer this into a measuring cup, and then we are going to blend it this way. If you're using a hand blender like myself, you really want to get in there and blend it as smooth as possible. We don't really mind the little chunks, but if you really need it nice and smooth, I would suggest just like a higher powered blender.
To sweeten this up, I don't want it to discolor too much, so I'm going to use agave. If I use coconut sugar, it's going to be a little bit too brown, and I don't really want to make it ugly. So I'm going to use some agave syrup. So you can use however much you want. You can use honey if you want to. I am going to add, I don't know, like 2 tablespoons worth just to start. Oh, and let me get some vanilla as well. You can see how thick this frosting is already. Now, because we're using a hand blender, it will take a little bit longer. You kind of have to just keep at it, keep going, you know, add a little bit of coconut milk if needed, but really you don't want too much coconut milk. I probably used about a third of my coconut milk. If you put too much, it will just get a little bit too runny, and it's just not going to be a nice frosting for the cake. So just keep that in mind. I mean, if you don't mind it, it's fine, but we prefer it kind of thick. And you can still see there's a little bit of chunks here, so I'm going to continue to just blend this as much as possible, and then it's time to frost the cake. This is the result. I am actually going to put this in the fridge because I want it to chill a little bit more and get a little bit thicker before we put it onto the cakes.
This was a little bit of a last minute idea, is just to add some cinnamon to it. I was thinking that maybe cinnamon and the berries would really go well together, so that's what I did. Just mixing it in, and then I just put it into the fridge. Now I'm not gonna lie, I did lick the spoon. The frosting was absolutely delicious and very, very addictive. When assembling this cake, I like to put the ugliest piece on the bottom first because you can't really see it. I am going to just layer it with some of the frosting. I'm going to make a very rustic cake. So I'm splitting the frosting in half. So I have about half of this frosting. I'm going to spread it a little bit with an offset spatula. This tool, if you don't have already, and if you love making cakes, actually, if you just like cooking in general, this tool really comes in very handy. On top of the frosting, we're going to add some of the compote. Now the compote did get a little bit thick, so I did have to add a little bit of water to just even it out and smooth it out a little bit. I'm going to spread this layer as generously as possible. Once we added the top layer of the cake, it will smush down the frosting and the compote just a little bit, so just keep that in mind. Then we're just going to add the rest of the frosting on the top. Now, I'm not a cake decorator, but I really wanted to try to make a marble type of look on the top with the compote and the cashew frosting. I mean, I did my best. It didn't look perfect. It didn't look great, but that was my idea, and I didn't execute it very well. Now, this really reminded me of soap making or texturing the tops of soaps. We own a small business. We do make handmade soaps, and sometimes when you texture soap, you just can't stop. And this really just reminded me that at some point you just have to kind of stop. I added a little bit more of the compote on the top, and this was the final result. Okay, I have to be honest, I've seen more beautiful cakes, but I know that the taste of this cake is going to be gorgeous. Alrighty, now it is time for our cake. I called everyone to surround our kitchen table, and it's time to reveal our birthday cake to our birthday girl.
Okay, ready?
Looks like a volcano.
I tried. Cover what?
That's how it's supposed to be.
Because, yeah, it's supposed to be like a rustic cake. Shut up. I'm not a cake decorator. All right, ready? Oh. Shut up. All right, Marcy, open your eyes.
Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marcy. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
Jennifer.
Come,
They're not
we're gonna cut this cake. We're gonna enjoy some cake. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new. We will see you on the next video.
Bye.
Hope you guys enjoy spending time with us in the kitchen today, making all of the treats. All right, let's cut.
Bye.
Time for the big reveal. Let's cut a slice for our birthday girl, and let's see what it looks like on the inside. Ooh, look at the ooey gooey sauces inside the cake. I was trying to be very, very careful not to break apart this cake, and voila, this cake actually turned out really beautiful. Look at the layers on the inside. It's now time for taste testing.
What do you think? Is it okay?
Tastes like cashews and jam.
Is it okay? Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
It's good? Huh?
Huh?
It's good? Oh, that's all that matters.
Mom, something came and stole my cake.
I don't know who he was talking about. The only one that's stealing his cake is himself, eating the cake like that. Obviously, the little one was a fan. Our birthday girl was a fan as well. And Israel actually said that this was the best cake of the year so far.
I might want to, please.
You want 2 pieces?
Yeah, if you want to
This one's the whole cake. Too bad, Mercy.
We ended this birthday by going to the skate park as requested by Mercy. We really hope that you enjoyed spending time with us, and we will see you on the next video. Bye everybody!